just kind of wanted to share a little bit about day 2. We kind of went into day 2 after sharing in the evening service. It was kind of mixed emotions. We were kind of really excited about what God did the night before in the evening service, but also kind of just with heavy hearts a little bit, just talking to the different people in the church there, and just kind of seeing the people, meeting the people on the streets. Like, it was just very clear, I think, and in your face, like all the addictions, the alcoholism and the drugs was just right in your face, and then just all the talk about suicide and the losses in people's lives. Like, it was kind of mixed feelings, I think, a little bit for everybody, and it was just, I think I went into the day kind of with a little bit of a heavy heart, just wondering if what we were doing was going to even make a difference, and it was kind of a miraculous thing that girl walked into the service that night, but I'll share a little bit more on that a little later. And during the evening service, there was this one lady. I remember I was speaking, and she was kind of recording the whole testimony time, and she had posted it on her Facebook page that evening, and her name is Mary Joanne Clark, and I remember after I spoke, like, people just took piles and piles of booklets, and it was just really cool ministry time with people that night, and then we went, the next morning, we just kind of went out to the job site there, and we're starting the day, and I noticed this lady kind of walking across on the street there really fast towards the church. And I'll just share her story a little bit. She just kind of walked into the church, and then Lovejoy came and got me and said, "Oh, this lady wants to talk to you." And so I think I already had my tool belt on, and we were gonna get going on the work, and I was just like, all right, I'll go talk to her, and I said to Paul, "Man, come on, man, this is your house, this is your town, man, and we'll do this together." And we went and sat down with the lady, and she was under the influence of alcohol, and she just kind of looked at me, and she's like, "How did you do it?" She's like, "How did you quit drinking? How did you quit drinking? Tell me, how did you do it?" And I just said, "It's Jesus, it's all Jesus." And she's like, "I got Jesus. I know the truth. I understand it all." She's like, I got it, but how did you quit drinking?" And then she began to tell me this story, how she decided not to have an abortion, and she had this baby, and when she looked at my booklet, the front picture, she said she read my booklet the night before. Someone had given her one of my booklets, and she just seen her boy. She just seen her boy in that picture, and she read my story, and she said she was just weeping and crying, and she said that her boy passed away, and and she said, like, why did God do this? Why did God take my baby boy away? And I remember just listening to her and seeing her grief and seeing her crying, and not really knowing what to say or how to respond to her. Or, you know, she knew the gospel, she knew about Jesus dying on a cross, and somehow she just was just still stuck in this grief, in this pain, and yeah, and just hearing all the other losses the night before, it was just kind of weighing heavy, and she just started to say, you know, I wanna just end it. She's like, I wanna end it. I could go get drugs right now, and I could smoke all the drugs, and I could end it right now. She's like, I could end all the pain and hurt. And we tried talking to her, and then I just was like, you know, I'm just gonna pray, and I just put my head down, and I didn't touch her or anything, and I just prayed in Jesus' name, just for her to come out of this feeling of wanting to end everything, and I just prayed for hope and peace in her life, and then I kind of, her facial expression before that was really, you know, aggressive and sad, and then I kind of put my head up and I looked at her, and I could see she had a smile on her face, and she just looked at me, and she's like, you know what, halfway through your prayer, she's like, I felt something. She's like, I feel different, I don't know what it is. And I just said, it's the power of God. He just loves you so much that he doesn't want you to end your life. He doesn't want you to be suffering anymore with the pain and loss of your son. I said, God knows the feeling of losing a child. You know, he let his son die on a cross and suffer, and he understands, you know, he understands your pain. He knows what you're going through, and then I just talked with her a bit more, and just told her that God loves her, that he brought me in front of her just to tell her that, and yeah, she said she held my book close to her chest all night, just weeping and crying and wanting to know how to get hope. And we prayed with her a bit more and talked a bit more, and then she got up, and she's like, I have hope now. She's like, I have hope. And she kind of just stood up, and she walked out the church door, and Lynn was there, and Lynn gave her a big hug, and she just was like, I have hope now. She just kept saying that over and over, and that was the start of the second day. Like, word was getting out to people, that people were kind of walking by, and word was getting out, and the booklets were getting in people's hands, and about this guy, right? This guy that's like us is in our community, and somehow he made it out. You know, somehow he has hope now. Alright, Claudia, we're kind of wrapping up our trip here, and you're the only one that hasn't been on any videos yet, so we gotta get you before you run away. Yeah, just wanted to talk a little bit about Mary Joanne Clark. She on the second day there, she kind of came to the meeting, and her boy was there, and she was we were just talking with her, and she had a book she wrote. So just want to know, you read the book, and just what your thoughts are on it, and give us some nuggets so people could buy it. It's actually on Amazon, and people could purchase it. So maybe just share a little bit about her and the book.
Yeah, she came back. She came for sharing one evening, and then she came back. She told us she wrote a book, and we told her that we would like to see it, and then she went home and came back with a few books. And I started reading it the same evening, and she just shared her life story, how she grew up, about how her grandparents met, how her parents met, that her mom actually got killed by her dad when she was 5 years old, and she just wrote all the turmoil that brought into her life. that came into her life because of that, and how she met her husband, how they had a couple kids, and when I met her there and asked her about if she had family, she just told me that her husband has died from alcohol. That's all she said when I asked her. But when I read the book, her husband actually, I think for at least 8 years, was living in Whitehorse while she was in McPherson and had another girlfriend, and mother-in-law wouldn't let her see him. She came a couple times to ask him if he would want to come back. As far as I remember, they were never divorced. And even when he was dying, the mother-in-law would not let her near him. And then she involved the police, so at least the kids could go see him one more time. And yeah, at some point in her life, she must have accepted Jesus. And she said that just kept her going. Her belief and her faith kept her going. And yeah, at the very end, and she said that her kids actually never really forgave him and his side of the family for keeping them away from their dad, because they basically grew up without a dad.
So how does that make you feel when you kind of read the story, and like, does your heart go out to her? Because I don't think her story is unique, right?
I just can't imagine how so many people, like, I think for many women up there it's the same story, for many families it's the same story, and I just can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then so in the end of the book, she kind of talks about how it's her faith that kind of kept her going, and yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, she does never say in the book when she actually accepted Christ, but obviously there was some influence in her life. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That brought her close to Christ.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so the whole trip, what did you think? How do you think it went? What's your final kind of thoughts? If you can coax the other church ladies into coming, what can you say? It's probably a lot, right?
Yeah.
But how do you sum it up?
Expect the unexpected. I just thought I'm gonna go there. We support you guys. You guys do your thing, and then I just support and help wherever I need help. But I didn't really expect. It maybe sounds bad now, but I didn't really expect to like the people.
Oh, okay.
And I really like the people.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
They just get into your heart.
They do, yeah.
And then driving home, I know for me, driving home, I go to close my eyes and I just see the people's faces and hear the stories, and it's just so sad and tragic, and just and us coming just brought a little bit of light.
Yeah.
And I know
it just, when I really realized it, when we were on a ferry and Leslie was working there.
Right.
And the way he said goodbye to you, and the way that he hugged Conrad, and then he came over, and yeah, he just gave me such a strong handshake with two hands, and yeah, it's yeah.
They love you regardless of who you are, and that was really cool. No, and just
I think they're incredible people live there. Yeah.
All right, Claudia,
Okay.
Thanks so much
You're
for
welcome.
helping us, feeding us, making caribou stew. That was really good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This lady, Mary Joanne Clark, she recorded my testimony on the first night, and the next evening service she brought her boy to the meeting, and just meeting her a couple times, it just was so clear to me how she just loves her family and she loves her boy, and she really wanted us to meet her boy, and we went to the gas station and met him, and he was at the service, and I just shared my testimony like I was sharing to a brother, and after the service was over, we kind of went outside, and it was kind of cool. Conrad just started prophesying over this guy. He's like, man, I see you as a leader in your community, and people are going to follow you if you lead them, and you're like a chief. And And then I just kind of agreed, and we just prayed for this guy. And then later, Mary came, and we're just kind of talking to her about her son there. And we just kind of said what we felt God was leading us to say. And then she said that his grandpa was actually a chief. And I just thought it was really cool. You know, and there was no hocus pocus or no magic involved. It was just, we were just kind of saying what we felt God was leading us to say about this boy, and we just prayed for him, and yeah, it was really cool. And I just want people to, you know, if you feel led, just to kind of purchase her book on Amazon, just to support her. She's kind of done all that hard work getting this book out by herself with her own money, and she just made it available for free for people to read, and it's an incredible story, and I just want to help support my sister. So if you can just kind of just read it and maybe reach out to her and pray for this lady, you know, pray for her boy and her family, and the other lady I was talking about earlier in the video, just pray for them. You know, they need prayers, and they need God's presence in their lives, and yeah, that's that.